Confederate positions in a piecemeal fashion. The final Federal assault was organized by Theodore Winthrop. As Winthrop strived to rally his men, he was shot through the heart. The battle was over. In terms of later battles, Big Bethel would be merely a skirmish. Nevertheless, it is here at Bethel where, for the first time, two opposing forces stood up and exchanged musketry. And it all happened here in Hampton Roads. We're standing here in front of Benjamin Sims Middle School, named in honor of the benefactor of the first free school in America. Hampton is home to many historical firsts. Perhaps one of the most significant occurred on February 10, 1634, when Benjamin Sims willed 200 acres of land, cows, weeding hoe, and other accommodations to start a school in Hampton near the Back River. Sims' bequest, which was signed with an X, indicated he was illiterate. The Virginia General Assembly approved the creation of the school, as well as another institution underwritten via the will of Dr. Thomas Eaton in 1659. The Eaton Charity School was quickly established. The two schools were consolidated in 1805 in downtown Hampton as the Hampton Academy. The bequests of Benjamin Sims and Thomas Eaton initiated a 3.5-century legacy of public education in Hampton. The far-sighted generosity of these men left a legacy that still benefits the Hampton public schools today. It all happened here in Hampton Roads.
Here and Then is made possible by the Hampton Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Behind me in the distance is Fort Wool. A young Lieutenant Robert Edward Lee would work on the construction of this fort during his 3-year service on Fort Monroe. Robert Edward Lee graduated from West Point in 1829 and was appointed a second lieutenant in the elite Corps of Engineers. In 1831, he married Mary Custis, granddaughter of Martha Custis Washington. Their first child, George Washington Custis Lee, was born that year at Fort Monroe. Lee was detailed in 1831 as an assistant to Captain Andrew Talcott, the constructing engineer at Fort Monroe. Talcott, however, was absent during much of Lee's tour of Fort Monroe, which enabled Lee to gain a great deal of fortification construction experience. During his tour of duty on Old Point Comfort, Lee primarily worked on the construction of Fort Wool's foundation. Lee came to Fort Monroe as an engineer with limited experience. His work on the construction of Fort Monroe and Fort Wool gave him the wherewithal to manage any major construction project, as well as laying the foundations for Lee's development